I recently tested all kinds of storage drives to see how quickly they could load up Counter-Strike 2. Here were the results. Thumb drives and hard drives were the slowest, and SSDs were the fastest. But even the fastest one I tested was only a PCIe 3 NVMe drive, and they go up to PCIe 5 these days. So when I make a video, I anticipate a reaction, and I assumed people were going to tell me I should have tested these faster PCIe 4 and 5 drives as well. But apparently everybody was too busy telling me that this is not an NVMe drive and that I should have called it an M2 drive instead. I resent this kind of correction because it doesn't benefit anybody. I know what I'm talking about, I'm trying to keep my videos simple for the people who will learn from them, and such pedantry is only going to confuse everyone, especially when the correction is wrong. It's like me saying that cars are faster than walking, and somebody telling me I'm wrong because this picture is of a Volvo and not a car. So let's get this sorted. M2 is the shape of the drive. So yes, this is technically an NVMe M2 drive. But the important thing about it is the NVMe bit, because that's what makes it faster than this kind of drive, which uses a slower SATA connection. So I was right, and those people correcting me were wrong because some M2 drives use the slower SATA standard rather than NVMe. Anyway, I decided to extend this testing by buying an even faster NVMe drive that uses the PCIe 4 standard to see if it was any faster.
Oh no, they don't have a screw for it.
And it also gave me the perfect opportunity to film in self-pity as I struggled to install the damn thing beneath my graphics card, cutting myself on the heatsinks, risking cracking the motherboard and setting fire to the graphics card's power cable in the process. Did you know it used to be literally impossible to find extra screws for NVMe cards online? One of the first NVMe's I ever bought had to be duct taped to the motherboard. But don't worry, we've all come a long way since then, and these days I get everything that needs doing in my PC right first time. Most of the time. And that's why I prefer SATA SSDs. Anyway, all set up, time for the ultimate showdown. In the red corner, my older, slower PCIe 3 drive, and it scored just these results in a benchmarking program. Terrible. And in the green corner, my newer, faster PCIe 4 one, which scored much, much higher. Twice as high, 3 times as high even. Now let's see what it does to CS2's loading times. Oh dear. The faster drive being no faster means there's no point in testing these two drives any further. The simple fact is, PCIe 4, although faster in theory and a lot faster in synthetic benchmarks, doesn't mean those benefits will carry across to loading games up faster. And the drive I used was a good one too. A year and a half ago, Tom's Hardware said it was one of the fastest drives for gaming. But all this is good news, for it means you don't have to spend so much on premium speed SSDs if all you're going to do is to play CS2. I'll feature all the other drives I tested previously here for comparison's sake, albeit in muted colours because the focus should be on the NVMe drives, but it made sense when I did it. Both of these NVMe drives were still well fit and beat every other drive that I tested, but it just means you don't have to concern yourself about getting a fancy NVMe. Sure, get one rather than a standard old SATA SSD. There are still benefits to that, but going beyond that, rapidly diminishing or even regressive returns. At the end of the day, loading times in CS2 are measured in seconds and warm-ups in minutes, so it's not like it matters. There's a quiet comfort in knowing that games have to cater to the lowest common denominator, and if you have an SSD of any kind then you're comfortably above that already. So I've answered the question that nobody else seemed to care about, being that buying super fast drives is a waste of money if you're simply going to load CS2 on them. But at least now we know how little difference they make, and how much of a waste of money they are for trying to cut down on load times. But still not as much of a waste of money as it was for me to buy simply to make this video about.